Good afternoon, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Thank you for joining me. Happy, you know, Black Friday. So enjoy your shopping, and I have some news to share with you. So the bloody war, the bloody civil war in Ethiopia continues. No ending sight. The government, the Amara militia, the Amara Fano, all the militia brought from different region. They are, they intensify their in their effort to retake uh, the areas occupied by TDF and OLA, especially in Lalibela, Gashana, and other areas. But so far, uh, they are not successful in this retaking uh, enforced military offensive against TDF and OLA. The TDF and OLA effort uh, or operation to take Debra Sina and Debra Brahan continues. Heavy and tense military confrontation ongoing, so no breakthrough. Uh, and Deborah Brahan is restricted the movement of residents, and if the residents are going from place to place, they are forced to carry their ID card with them. So it's actually is terror everywhere, including the capital city, Addis Ababa. It's very in a very tough situation. The other thing is the drone attack also continue in Mekele and in Wallo area. One media is reported has reported like the deaths of 71 civilians just in Wallo area, especially in Oromia special zone. Civilians, no military personnel. So I reported on this one, and I urge the international community to do something about this civilian uh, massacre by Abiy Ahmed drones, and no response from international community. So the civilians are continue to be killed by these drones, and nothing is happening. So this is a little bit update, and I have some more, some other news. The whereabouts of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is now known, according to the government media. So many speculation, going around about him. Some say, he is in Eritrea. He is hiding somewhere in Debre Zeit. So many kind of speculation going on. So the government decide to release some videos and tell the global community Ethiopians he is, leading the war. So this is about Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Ethiopia Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is on the front line with the army fighting rebellious Tigrayan forces in the northern Afar region, state-affiliated Fana Broadcasting reported today. Abiy was wearing military fatigues and speaking to the television station in the Afan, Oromo, and Amharic language, according to the broadcasts. Reuters could not independently verify exactly where it was filmed. What you see over there is a mountain that was captured by the enemy until yesterday. Now we have been able to fully capture it, Abiy said, wearing a hat and sunglasses. The morale of the army is very exciting, he said, promising to capture the town of Chifra on the border between Tigray and Afar today. We won't flinch backward till we bury the enemy and ensure Ethiopia's freedom. What we need to see is an Ethiopia that stands by itself, and we will die for it, Abiy said, and that television interview. Abiy announced late on Monday night that he was going to the front line to direct the fight against rebellion forces from the northern region of Tigray and their allies. The Tigray forces have threatened to push into the capital Addis Ababa or to try to cut a corridor linking landlocked Ethiopia with the region's largest port. U.S. Special Envoy Jeffrey Feltman said this week that the Tigrayan forces had been able to make progress south toward the capital, but that the military had beaten back several attempts to cut the transport corridor on the eastern front. The spread of the year-old conflict into the neighboring Afar and Amara region mean that 9.4 million need food aid as direct result of ongoing conflict, the United Nations World Food Programme announced on Friday. More than 80% of those in need are behind the battle lines, it added. So that is now we know, according to the government media, Abiy Ahmed is in a far front. So this might temporarily end the, so many different speculations about the whereabouts of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed of Ethiopia. And we'll follow it, and we'll see if it's really is a recorded video somewhere or is actually is leading the war front. Ethiopia asks the US to stop spreading false information on the war. This is a warning from Ethiopia to the United States. Ethiopian government has asked the United States to stop spreading falsehood against the country, the State Minister of Communication said on Thursday after the U.S. State Department issued an alert about potential terrorist attack. This week, the Irish government said Ethiopia had expelled 4 of 6 Irish diplomats because of Ireland's stance on the conflict. Ethiopian government spokespeople have also warned against unnamed external threats and criticized Western governments for what they say is inaccurate coverage of the war. Kebede Desisa, the state minister, said that U.S. government should refrain from disseminating shameful fake news and defamation regarding Ethiopia, state broadcaster EBC reported. He referred to a U.S. embassy statement on Tuesday that urged its citizens to maintain a high level of vigilance due to the ongoing possibility of terrorist attacks in Ethiopia. Earlier this month, tens of thousands of Ethiopians rallied in the capital to denounce the United States for alleged interference in Ethiopia's internal affairs. On Thursday, dozens of protesters took their anger to the U.S. Embassy in the city, in Addis Ababa, where they displayed banners saying, "Interference is undemocratic and truth wins." Asked for comment, a U.S. Embassy official said The safety of U.S. citizens abroad is one of the State Department's highest priorities, adding Washington continued to urge U.S. citizens in Ethiopia to depart using commercially available flights. State-run Ethiopian press agency said a protest also took place outside the UK embassy. It was not immediately possible to reach the UK government for comment on Wednesday. Britain asks its nationals to leave Ethiopia immediately. So more than 400,000 people are facing famine in Tigray. The United Nations has said for months. A convoy of about 40 trucks carrying relief supplies, including food, had left for Tigray from neighboring Afar, the United Nations said on Wednesday. The UN estimates 100 trucks should be entering Tigray each day to meet humanitarian needs. So many countries leaving Ethiopia due to this ongoing conflict in the country, plus the U.S. warning about possible terrorist attacks in the capital city, Addis Ababa. So now the United States citizens, France, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Canada, and other foreigners are leaving the country thanks to Abiy Ahmed disastrous policy, very dangerous policy, and ignored all the advice about ending this war. Now Ethiopia is, economically damaged and losing global interaction and all other difficulties now, uh, imposed on that country. So he is not listening. He is in a war front to continue the bloodshed. So that nobody is challenging him, and especially those Ethiopia at first, no more protesters uh, behind him financially and in organizing protests at home and around the world. But they are not doing, something that protects Ethiopia. They are just blindly supporting this bloody war, and there is no an opening for others to engage about Ethiopia. Uh, discussion about the flag, discussion about how to, uh, create an inclusive country. Ethiopia is not only about Amara or Oromo. Ethiopia has about 85 different ethnicities and different languages. So this group, Ethiopia at First group, they are, the cause of the destruction of that country, the cause of the bloodshed in that country. They have no solution for that country except supporting this bloody war. Okay, this is credit for Addis Standard. It says OFC calls for establishment of interim government negotiation toward all-inclusive transitional government. Oromo Federalist Congress, OFC, issued a statement yesterday reiterating calls for peaceful resolution to what it called on avoidable war raging all over the country. In a statement, the OFC listed steps to immediately be taken to salvage the country from disintegration and the entire region from potential destabilization, among which is the immediate establishment of an interim government for a period of 3 to 6 months with a mandate to maintain law and order, undertake the charting of a common roadmap, and facilitate the national dialogue process. During the mandate of the interim administration, all parties will begin negotiations on the formation of an all-inclusive transitional government that shall last for 18 months. No major stakeholders shall be excluded from this negotiation, the Oromo Federalist Congress said. So it's a long statement, but I'll try to make it short. It's a long, full statement. Recalling the recent press release, only honest, genuine, and all-inclusive national dialogue can solve the country's political crisis, announced on 25 October 2021, and even beyond the Oromo Federalist Congress, OFC, has been repeatedly called for and appealed to the current ruling party and its leaders to change course from the present perilous road to destruction and the political dead end thereof, which has pushed the country to brink of a potential disintegration. For the ruling party and its leaders are not hold enough to take concrete positive measures. Major dangers are looming on the land of Ethiopia. To tackle the imminent danger, we hereby again strongly reiterate the peaceful resolution is a panacea for the current Ethiopian crisis. After assessing the ongoing bloodbath in the country and the potential for a war of all against all whose end result cannot be predicted, our party is calling for the following steps to immediately be taken to salvage our people from a civil war, our country from disintegration, and the entire region from potential destabilization. So we got 6 steps OFECO is calling to save Ethiopia. 1. We call for the immediate establishment of an interim government chaired by an individual accepted by major stakeholders that will serve for a period of 3 to 6 months with a mandate to maintain law and order, undertake the charting of a common roadmap, and facilitate the national dialogue processes. 2. We urge all warring parties to negotiate for a ceasefire immediately, an end to hostilities, including providing unfettered humanitarian access to feed the starving, tend to the sick, permit the displaced to return to their homes, and restore essential service to all areas. This will include a total repudiation of all incitement to violence and hate speech in all forms. 3. All political prisoners held at various prisons and detention centers must be released immediately. 4. During the mandate of the interim administration, all parties will begin negotiation on the formation of an all-inclusive transitional government that shall last for 18 months. No major stakeholders shall be excluded from these negotiations. 5. The all-inclusive transitional government shall adopt a transitional charter, including all necessary measures for economic stabilization and recovery, as well as finalize the national dialogue processes to determine the future of Ethiopia. The interim administration shall end its mandate by organizing free, fair, and credible elections. 6. As of ongoing civil war has destroyed the economy of our country and the millions are facing starvation, We call upon the international community to support the new transitional arrangement by providing diplomatic, financial, and material supports for the workings of the new transitional government so as to ensure security as well as the well-being of our citizens. So these are the 6 very important major uh, points to save Ethiopia from collapsing. In conclusion, Oromo Federalist Congress urged all Ethiopians, the international community, and the warring parties to hear our voice and cooperate in achieving durable peace and stability to salvage our country. In this regard, the Oromo Federalist Congress, OFC, strongly reiterates its support for any genuine and honest political solution that helps the redemption of Ethiopia. So that is OFECO's statement for saving Ethiopia, actually saving Ethiopia from bloodshed and further disintegration by forming uh, you know, transitional government. So we'll see if anybody, especially the ruling party, if they're here. I don't think they're gonna hear, but that is the call. And concerned citizens media appreciate OFECO for its continued attempts to save that country from collapsing. That's a better solution, even called by international community, by United States, European Union. Release all these political prisoners, have a dialogue with all stakeholders. But Abiy refused. Now we are in a bloodbath. This is also credit for Addis Standard. Command post cautions against establishment of transitional government, unauthorized dissemination of martial intelligence. The state of emergency command post said in a statement, measures shall be taken against those who are indulgent in activities to form a transitional government or any other form of administration outside the constitutional framework. It also prohibits the broadcasting of information about military activities and combat operation by anyone, including both civilians and military personnel, other than a body authorized by the command post. That's why I say they rejected the government. The Prosperity Party rejected uh, this call for transitional government, and now uh, threatening anyone to talk about this war or to talk about peaceful resolution and the call for transitional government. That's a problem. That's a problem. That's the Abiy way. Abiy want to continue the bloodshed. Don't care about the days of all these civilians and the military personnel. They don't care about this displacement of Ethiopians. He doesn't care about the economic collapse. He doesn't care anything. He just want to win the war, and he is not winning, but he just wishing to crush uh, all legitimate concerns in that country. Now he is using emergency command post to silence any critics of this ongoing civil war. Any. The Operation Command Post repeated a provision of the state of emergency declared on November 2nd, cautioning media against directly or indirectly supporting terrorist groups using freedom of expression as a pretext. The current agenda of all Ethiopians is to save their country, the statement read, adding, every thought and activity must not defy this goal. Moreover, the command post, without mentioning by name, cautioned those who are attempting to establish a transitional government. Okay, this is, rejecting rejecting that's the OFECO and others uh, remedy for that country. In the statement detailing an assessment of the implementation of the state of emergency provisions, the Operation Command announced directives to strengthen the implementation of the provisions and remove obstacles in the process. The command post noted that among the obstacles the implementation of state of emergency provision faced was individuals donning the uniform of the Ethiopian National Defense Force, federal and regional police, as well as special forces. The command post authorized security force to take measures against anyone who is not a member of the security force who is found wearing those uniforms but not carrying a renewed membership ID. So that's a very serious warning about anyone attempting uh, on the resolution, a peaceful resolution on the ongoing war in the country. And anyone reporting about the war, any criticism of the war is not tolerated. The command post is threatening anyone using a federal uniform or the defense uniform. Uh, so that's the situation. What about those media anchors, media reporters using the army uniform? What about those musicians? So as we'll see. This is again from Addis Standard. Addis Ababa University warns to take measure against graduate academic supporting TPLF. Measures may include revocation of academic degrees. Addis Ababa University, AAU, has issued warning against graduate academics to refrain from acts of supporting the TPLF. The university said the measures may extend up to revoking academic degrees of individuals who are found to be supporting the TPLF. The university also condemned the TPLF's atrocities against innocent people and its conspiracy to destroy the country, according to the state broadcaster EBC. Several academicians of university graduates from around the world have sided with Ethiopia in condemning the TPLF and its supporters, AAU said, adding that regardless of that and disregarding the university age-old contribution to the country, some individuals showed no restraint in their support to the TPLF. They would be subject to legal actions, including the loss of their academic degree, EBC said. Similarly, the university urged Western countries to stop their undue pressure on Ethiopia and vowed that it will continue to intensify its contribution and struggle to save the country. The EBC reported the university has issued an 8-point resolution. So I don't know how Abiy Ahmed uh, forced everyone to line up in single line, just government line. No criticism, no question from university professionals, no question from the religious organizations, no question from the citizens. Just keep blindly support the ongoing civil war. That's why he want, and he want to use uh, anything to arrest, to degrade, and even to take your degree or the degree you worked hard for many years. Now the university, he's using the university, is coming through the university door to silence anyone, any intellectual from criticizing the war. by blaming them as TPLF supporters. That's very dangerous, and concerned citizens media reported on this uh, before. Abiy Ahmed is heading on the direction of Idi Amin of Uganda. Very dangerous road. Intolerance for freedom of speech, criticism. That's the way he's going. And, even now threatening intellectuals not to give their take on the ongoing war, except just whether Abiy Ahmed lose or gain, except supporting. No different uh, direction. Just blindly go forward like a horse car, a horse car. Okay. United States has positioned a special operation near Ethiopia for potential U.S. embassy assistance. The U.S. military has positioned U.S. Special Operations Forces in Djibouti to be ready to provide assistance to U.S. Embassy in Ethiopia if the situation worsen, according to one military official and two sources familiar with the movement. The activation of some Army Rangers from 1/75 battalion suggests that the United States is growing increasingly concerned about the deteriorating security situation as armed groups allied against the Ethiopian government have advanced south toward the capital of Addis Ababa. In what a defense official with direct knowledge of the matter described as prudent planning. 3 warships in the Middle East have also begun, uh, uh, excuse me, Middle East also been put on standby to provide support for evacuation if that becomes necessary, although State Department officials have warned that there are no plans to carry out a large-scale military-led evacuation in Ethiopia. There are no plans to fly the U.S. military into Ethiopia to facilitate evacuation or replicate the contingency effort we recently undertook in Afghanistan, which was a unique situation for many reasons. A senior State Department official told reporters Monday, stressing that U.S. citizens should immediately depart using available commercial flights. We are always, of course, engaged in contingency planning for hypothetical, but again, with the airports wide open, there is no reason for that at all, they said. This official emphasized that U.S. citizens who need assistance in departing Ethiopia via commercial flights should contact the U.S. Embassy, noting that it can provide consular service now, but we cannot predict when and if conditions might change. The defense official with direct knowledge told CNN Monday that 3 amphibious warships currently in the Middle East, the USS Essex, the USS Portland, and the USS Pearl Harbor, have been on standby and could be used for potential civilian evacuation efforts. The official said that at this point, the U.S. does not anticipate a widespread evacuation of Americans, but concern has grown that even a small number might not be able to get to the airport and fly out commercially. The U.S. Embassy has issued frequent alerts warning U.S. citizens to leave, and in early November, the State Department raised its travel advisory for Ethiopia to level 4, do not travel, and issued stark guidance for those who plan to travel or remain in the country, including drafting a will, leaving DNA samples with a medical provider, and appointing someone as a point of contact in case the individual is taken hostage. So the situation is very tough. Okay, this is the last one on the reading part. Emirate Red Crescent intensify relief operation in Ethiopia. The United Arab Emirates, through its humanitarian arm, the Emirates Red Crescent (ERC), has intensified its relief operations benefiting people affected by the humanitarian situation in Ethiopia. A new shipment of Emirati aid arrived in Addis Ababa, including large quantities of medical supplies and various health materials to improve the health situation and support the preventive measures to curb the spread of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. The ERC continues to distribute humanitarian aid, including food, clothes, and other materials to beneficiaries in several areas as part of comprehensive humanitarian program carried out by the ERC. Dr. Muhammad Atik Al-Falahi, ERC Secretary General, stressed the United Arab Emirates has always supported the Ethiopian people and their humanitarian needs. It has prioritized its programs in Ethiopia to reinforce its presence in the country in line with its humanitarian responsibility toward the people. The new shipment of aid is a continuation of the humanitarian initiatives carried out by UAE in Ethiopia to support families affected by current events, especially women and the children, he added. The ERC is closely monitoring Ethiopia's humanitarian situation and is supporting local humanitarian efforts, he said. Credit Emirates News Agency. So, United Arab Emirates, providing humanitarian aid in one hand, and also providing, military hardwares, including drones to Abiy Ahmed. So this, we don't know if they are really supporting the victims, or maybe they are providing the government, to stabilize the government and win the war. So they are providing help for Abiy Ahmed. So that's, I have one video in the breaking news. Al Jazeera is reporting UAE is, still supporting with a military hardware to Abiy Ahmed. So we don't know if this is, yes, it says this is humanitarian aid for the people impacted by this conflict, but we have no proof. But maybe they are using both ways, humanitarian aid to stabilize the government and providing them military weapons, including drones, to win the war. So thank you again for sharing your time. Let's share a couple of videos from Al Jazeera and finish today's presentation. There we go.
Well, we begin this bulletin with breaking news from Ethiopia. Al Jazeera has obtained satellite imagery that shows the United Arab Emirates is now providing military support to the Ethiopian army. The investigation has revealed the UAE hired 2 private companies from Europe to run military flights to Ethiopia. The images also show drones at an Ethiopian airport in the capital, Addis Ababa. Well, let's now bring in Samuel Getachew. He's an Ethiopian journalist, and he joins us now live from the capital. Samuel, we obviously know Eritrea got involved in this conflict very early on, and now seemingly the UAE. Just what do we know about foreign involvement that's taking place on the side of the government?
Well, the Prime Minister has been saying that he's willing to work with friendly nations. UAE has been supporting some of the reforms of this Prime Minister from the get-go. They provided funds when Ethiopia was running out of forex, for instance, and this is no surprise. But Ethiopia is obviously receiving support from the so-called friendly nations, including Turkey, that have provided military assistance to the country. This came about after the Prime Minister visited Turkey, which is one of the biggest foreign investors in the country, and signed a military agreement with the president of Turkey, and this is no surprise.
Samuel, we've obviously seen a huge recruitment drive as well, and between the call to defend the capital, Addis, and the roundups we've been hearing about of Tigrayans, what's the situation like in the capital at the moment?
Well, in Addis Ababa per se, there has been a movement of young people that are being recruited, that are coming out and saying, we want to be part of the Ethiopian army. This came about after the Prime Minister literally announced on Monday night saying he's about to join the battleground and he's heading to the battleground. But that has since been confirmed by the spokesperson of the Ethiopian government. And he said that the Prime Minister is indeed in the battleground, offering leadership to some of the soldiers of Ethiopia that have been fighting against the TPLF for almost a year. But what we also know for a fact at this hour is the police chief of Debre Berhan, which is about 120 kilometers away from Addis Ababa, have told all citizens to carry their IDs, and they've been telling the IDPs to stay in the shelters. And they have also arrested the police chief because he has been not willing to detain or arrest people that have been suspected of supporting the TPLF.
Samuel, 120 kilometers doesn't sound very far away at all. I'm curious, how strong are the forces heading towards the capital at the moment? We obviously know a number of other factions are also involved.
Yeah, the Oromo Liberation Front, as part of the TPLF, they've somehow managed to find a common enemy in this Ethiopian Prime Minister and the Ethiopian government. They've been, you have to know the background information on the relationship between the TPLF. While they were in government, the OLF has been fighting the TPLF-dominated coalition government for the last 27 years before this Prime Minister came to power. So the relationship between them is to really defeat the Prime Minister and see a change of government in Addis Ababa. But we exactly don't know how successful they are. But however, the OLF has been saying that they're near Addis Ababa. They've been saying it for the last few weeks. They're about to come to Addis Ababa, but that was proven to be wrong. But with the TPLF, they've been, there was, last night, there was a Zoom meeting that was leaked by a Canadian activist saying that they're looking for some kind of transition government in Ethiopia. And but that has, since their demands has been changing, ever since they've begun to get closer to Addis Ababa. Even that was recognized by the U.S. envoy that visited Ethiopia, saying that their demands is increasing, putting in doubt the kind of compromise that needs to take place to end this conflict that began a year ago and again affected millions of Ethiopians.
Samuel Getachew there with all the latest for us from the capital, Addis Ababa. Thanks so much, Samuel.
Okay, one more video.
To the traditional Thursday demonstrations here in Sudan, in Khartoum, the crowd is in the thousands. We had seen many small columns forming in various neighborhoods before converging here And what they all want is for power to be handed over by the military to a civilian government, properly this time, without any exceptions. They want the military to step down. Many people here feel betrayed by Prime Minister Hamdok, who signed an agreement with the military, giving up a lot of civilian power to the military.
We refuse this agreement between Hamdok and Burhan, and this gives legitimacy and legal situation for the coup. We refuse this. We want complete civil society and complete civil government.
Tear gas or something of the sort had been fired here, though we haven't seen any police. There are also tires burning on the roads. That is also a traditional part of these protests, whereby protesters set them alight at major intersections. They lay barricades made up of bricks of stones to stop traffic. That is civil disobedience. But the crowd is very diverse. There are elderly here, there are women, there are children, there are also men, all sorts of people from all walks of life. Though these crowds are much smaller than what organizers had called for, they're also much smaller than what we had seen earlier. Many people had given up. Many people no longer see the point in these demonstrations. They don't believe that any good change, positive change, will come of these demonstrations after 2 years of them. So the crowds are much thinner than organizers had hoped. They had called for 1 million people to come out the streets of Khartoum to condemn last month's coup by the military, and to also condemn the civilian leader, Prime Minister Hamdok's deal with the military, power-sharing deal, which they see as a betrayal of the revolution.
Okay, so that's the last video, and Ethiopians are missing the same kind of, magnitude, the same kind of attitude, and about their freedom in Ethiopia. Like Sudanese, the protesters are, coming in a large numbers, inclusive from all walks of life, and demanding, challenging the military power to be transferred to civilians. Ethiopians, those Ethiopia at first, those protesters saying no more. They should learn from Sudanese, challenge the government. The Abiy way is not working. Is not working. Is taking the country in a dangerous, very bloody, already bloody, much more bloody war. So they should challenge it. They should challenge the system. They should support the transitional government called by OFC and others. They should support dialogue, reconciliation about Ethiopia, about the future of Ethiopia, including the flags they are carrying in DC, Los Angeles, and the European country. Majority Ethiopians, they don't accept that flag. So you need to negotiate about the flag. You need to negotiate about other things, power sharing, all, and save Ethiopia. We already lost Eritrea, even though now those no more protesters are enjoying the friendship with Eritrea. It's not a real friendship. It's a temporary political gain. But with the same attitude, we lost the port, we lost everything, and we lost Eritrea. So if we continue the same attitude now about, about the name of Ethiopia, or saving Ethiopia, we might, that country might be disintegrated into different pieces. So those groups, those supporting Abiy Ahmed, should, stay back, see what they're doing. Are they saving their ethnicities? Are they saving Abiy Ahmed? Is the plan is working? They have to question themselves and join, other forces. Those forces calling for the transitional government in Ethiopia. Those forces calling for dialogue, reconciliation with all stakeholders in Ethiopia. We have 85 plus ethnicities, more language. It's not about one language. It's not about one flag. So this is missing, and concerned citizens media call upon Ethiopians to save that country and listen to OFECO and others who are calling for dialogue and reconciliation to save the country from further bloodshed. So far, the Prosperity Party is threatening with punitive measures against who are calling transitional government or those who are criticizing the war, including shame on Addis Ababa University to engage in this politicized situation. So this is ugly. University is supposed to be the place for freedom to express your position, to express your support. So thank you again. Enjoy your Black Friday. I will be back with other news. Please share, like, subscribe to my channel. So long, everyone.